She wasn't falling, but she wasn't flying either. Liana drifted in stillness, the world around her dissolving into shifting bands of light and memory. No air, no time, only motion and a sense of being seen. The vault held her gently, not like a prison, but more like a question, one waiting for an answer. Light curled around her limbs, like silk threads, calm and precise, as if it were mapping her, memorizing the pattern of her breath. It didn't hurt, but it didn't ask for permission either. Somewhere beside her, Soren floated, arms slightly spread, legs drifting behind him like a ghost unsure of his place in the story. His eyes were wide, stunned. He hadn't spoken since they arrived. The vault didn't just welcome them, it had recognized them. And now it was rewriting everything around them to fit a memory they hadn't yet lived. The walls began to reshape, smooth light giving way to liquid architecture, corridors blooming out of nothing. No doors, no tech, just space responding to thought. Liana reached out, and the corridor bent toward her like mist pulled by gravity. It understood her gesture. It wanted to be touched. "Welcome, Inheritors," came the voice again. "The vault has awaited you." Liana didn't respond. She couldn't. Her throat was dry, even without air. Soren drifted closer. His fingertips grazed Liana's shoulder, an anchor in all the unreality. They weren't alone in here. They weren't themselves anymore either. Liana reached forward again. The space reacted instantly, walls parting, a map unfolding in midair. It hovered in the open space between them, formed from golden lines that pulsed with living light. She saw the old Lorraine, the outer sectors, and something deeper beneath them both, something vast, coiled, and forgotten, buried beneath the city's roots, like an idea left too long in the dark. She whispered it aloud, barely aware of her voice. "This isn't a storage system." Her hand moved and the light followed. "It's a living archive." Another wall peeled open beside the map, this one full of data she couldn't read. Symbols, ancient and wrong, spiraled into glyphs, older than the collapse. DNA structures, power grids, reactor schematics stamped with unrecognizable logos. Liana Thornfield, the vault voice continued. Descendant of the first architects, DNA lineage confirmed, legacy protocol initiated. Her heart stuttered. She clenched her fists, felt them somehow, though her body still felt like it was floating without weight. She didn't remember her family. She didn't have one. Just a chain of group homes and broken systems. Just a file that said ward, unstable, modified illegally, watch list level 2. And yet this place spoke her name like it was holy, like it meant something. Soren's voice pulled her back. "You okay?" Liana turned her head slightly. Soren looked fragile in the vault's golden light, real in a way the space wasn't. "I don't think I've ever been okay," she said softly. "But this feels right." Ahead of them, another corridor unfurled. The vault was opening its heart now. Inside, rows of sealed pods floated in stasis. Some held small ecosystems, verdant, untouched. Others contained data cores or dormant AI modules. But some held people. Real DNA, uncorrupted. Sleepers, a Genesis engine. Liana drifted forward and reached for the nearest pod. Her hand hovered inches from the surface. It pulsed, matching her heartbeat. Behind her, Soren didn't move, but Liana could feel it. The fear radiating off her, not of the vault, but of her, because something was changing. Not a mutation, not infection, something more profound, like her skin remembered a shape it wasn't supposed to wear until now. Then, the vault's voice glitched. "Unauthorized trace detected, perimeter breach, estimated contact 6 hours." Liana looked up, jaw tightening. "They found us." Soren's voice was sharp, panicked. Liana shook her head. "No," her eyes narrowed. "They were already watching." The vault wasn't a sanctuary. It was a beacon, a test, a trap. And like a good little inheritor, she'd triggered it. The vault pulsed around them, not with heat, not with a warning, with invitation. Soren felt it like a shift in gravity, like something had leaned close and whispered in his blood. Liana hadn't moved since the alert. She stood near the pod, still glowing to her pulse, her eyes narrowed and her jaw tight. But her expression had changed, drifted from certainty to something else. The light around them shimmered and stuttered. Then it folded. Not a collapse, no sound, no violence, just a fold, a quiet twist in space. And the vault unmade and remade itself, presenting Soren with an alternate reality, a vision just for him. Soren blinked. He stood in the sunlight, real sunlight, not artificial, not filtered through smog or deflector haze. The grass beneath his feet was soft and cool. The wind brushed his face like breath. The sky was blue, not corrupted, not pulsing with static veins, just blue. He turned in place. Lorraine was gone. In its place were towers grown from silver and living stone, wrapped in vertical gardens. No grime, no rot, no grid barriers humming like invisible threats. Everything was clean, alive, peaceful. And then he saw himself across the plaza, kneeling in a garden, laughing. A child laughed with him. A girl, maybe 4 years old, chased floating blossoms that drifted in the wind. The other version of him smiled widely, relaxed, whole, untouched. Soren felt something inside him crack open. He didn't recognize that version of himself, but he also couldn't look away. The woman standing nearby, tall, kind-eyed, her hand resting on Soren's shoulder like they belonged together. It was not Liana. While Soren contemplated a vision made just for him, Liana was simultaneously presented with a vision of what seemed to be another reality. She watched from across the courtyard, from behind a pillar of curved glass and flowering moss. She didn't exist here, not in the building's index, not in the databanks pulsing faintly above, no trace, no presence. That absence, it hurt more than any rejection the city had ever given her. Because in this world, Soren smiled and Liana wasn't the reason for it. The vault voice in echoed thought. Timeline fragment rendered, collapse prevented, world preserved. Subject Liana Thornfield, non-viable. Subject Soren Firebrand, reformed. Emotional imprint complete. The air flickered. A warning tone trembled beneath his thoughts. He took one step forward, then froze. The other him looked up. Their eyes almost met. Almost. But something in the vault intervened. The illusion cracked like a sheet of ice under pressure. He stumbled back, gasping as the world around him shattered, light peeling away like false skin, ending both visions, until all that remained was darkness. They dropped to the floor, together. Back into the archive's breathing chamber. The light dimmed. Walls went still. Soren sat hard against the cold floor, his breath ragged and heart racing. Liana crouched beside him, one hand hovering like she didn't know if she could touch him. Neither spoke. "That was a world without me," Liana said. Her voice was calm, almost too calm. Soren nodded. "And you were happy in it," Liana added, not accusing, just stating. "It didn't feel like me," Soren whispered, "but it was." Liana stood, her fists clenched at her sides. That's the cost of peace. The cost of a reality where the misery around us never happens. Soren swallowed. And the alternative? Liana didn't answer. The vault did. Decision pending. Probability spike. Silencer class presence approaching. Timeline divergence threshold imminent.